Welcome to my channel, Learn English with Podcast.
Quick question for you. Have you ever set a huge goal, felt super motivated for about 3 days, and then completely given up?
Oh, painfully relatable. I think that's basically the story of every New Year's resolution I've ever made.
Exactly. And today, we're going to talk about why that happens and what actually works instead. Welcome to Learn English with Podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Jessica. Today's topic is small goals, big impact. How tiny daily actions can completely transform your life over time.
So, Jessica, let's start with that classic story. Why do you think big, ambitious goals so often fail?
I think it's because they're overwhelming. When a goal feels too big, your brain almost panics instead of getting motivated.
Overwhelming, meaning so much that it feels impossible to handle. That panic response actually makes total sense when you think about it.
Exactly. Imagine deciding you'll read 50 books this year, exercise every single day, and learn a new language, all starting tomorrow.
That sounds exhausting just hearing it. No wonder people give up by week 2.
Right. The goal itself isn't wrong, but the size of the first step is way too big. That's really the core problem.
So what's the alternative? What should people actually do instead?
Start incredibly small. So small it almost feels silly. Like, instead of read 50 books, you start with read 1 page a day.
1 page? That sounds almost too easy to even count as a goal.
That's exactly the point. When something feels that easy, you actually do it. And doing it consistently is what creates real change.
I love that. So consistency matters more than intensity. Doing a tiny thing every day beats doing a huge thing once.
Precisely. There's a concept I really love called the compound effect. Have you heard of that?
I have, but explain it for our listeners. What exactly does that mean?
The compound effect means small actions, repeated consistently over time, add up to massive results, way bigger than they seem in the moment.
Like how a small snowball rolling down a hill picks up more and more snow until it becomes huge.
That's such a perfect image. 1 page of reading feels like nothing today, but after a year, that's an entire book, maybe more.
And the same logic applies to almost anything, right? Saving money, exercising, even learning English.
Especially learning English. 10 minutes a day feels small, but after a year, that's over 60 hours of real practice.
60 hours. When you put it that way, it sounds incredibly impressive, even though each day felt almost insignificant.
Insignificant, meaning too small to matter. And that's the trick. Each individual day feels insignificant, but the total adds up enormously.
Let's talk about why our brains struggle with this concept. Why do we naturally want big results immediately?
I think we're wired for instant gratification. We want to see results right away, not wait months or years for them to appear. Exactly. And small goals don't give you that instant excitement, which is exactly why people underestimate how powerful they actually are.
So it's almost like small goals are too boring to feel impressive, even though they're the thing that actually works.
That's such a great way to put it. Boring but effective versus exciting but unsustainable. Most people choose exciting and burn out.
Burnout, meaning becoming exhausted and giving up, usually from doing too much too fast. We talked about that exact thing in a previous episode.
We did. It really does come up again and again, doesn't it? Because it's one of the biggest obstacles to lasting change.
Let's bring in some real examples. Can you share a personal story about a small goal that actually made a big difference for you?
Sure. A few years ago, I decided to drink 1 glass of water first thing every morning, before anything else.
That sounds so simple, it's almost funny. What made you choose something that small?
Because I tried bigger health changes before and always quit within a week. So I figured, let's try something I literally cannot fail at.
Cannot fail at. I love that framing. Setting yourself up for guaranteed success instead of likely failure.
Exactly. And here's the surprising part. That one tiny habit led to other small changes naturally. I started eating a bit better, sleeping a bit better.
So the small win created momentum for bigger changes without you even forcing it.
Momentum. The energy and force that builds up once something is already moving. That's such a perfect word for what happened.
That's such a powerful story. What's your theory on why that happens? Why does one tiny habit lead to others?
I think it's because success builds confidence. Once you prove to yourself you can keep one small promise, you start believing you can keep bigger ones.
That makes complete sense. It's like building trust with yourself, one small action at a time.
Exactly that. And on the flip side, when you constantly break promises to yourself with overly ambitious goals, that trust gets damaged.
I want to share a story too, actually. A few years back, I wanted to start writing, but I kept putting it off because the idea felt huge.
Putting it off, delaying or avoiding doing something. Such a common experience with big, intimidating goals.
Right. So eventually I told myself, just write one sentence a day. That's it. No pressure beyond that.
One sentence. That's such a low bar, in the best possible way.
Exactly. And almost every single day, once I wrote that one sentence, I kept going naturally because starting was the hardest part.
That's such an important insight. Starting is usually the biggest obstacle, not actually doing the task itself.
Completely. The goal of one sentence basically tricks your brain into starting, and then momentum just takes over.
I love that idea, tricking your brain in a good way. Let's talk about how this applies specifically to learning English.
Great topic, since that's exactly what our listeners are doing right now, just by listening to this episode.
Exactly. So, what's a small English goal someone could realistically commit to every single day?
I'd say listen to 5 minutes of English every day, no matter what, even on your busiest, most exhausted day.
5 minutes is so achievable. Even on a chaotic day, almost everyone can find 5 spare minutes somewhere.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, most days you'll probably do more than 5 minutes once you actually get started.
That's such a smart psychological trick. The small commitment removes the resistance, and then natural motivation often takes over.
Resistance, the mental pushback or reluctance you feel before starting something. Lowering that resistance is honestly the whole secret.
What about speaking practice specifically? A lot of our listeners feel nervous about speaking out loud.
I'd suggest something tiny there too. Just say one English sentence out loud every day, even if you're completely alone in your room.
One sentence out loud. That removes so much of the fear because there's no audience, no pressure, just practice.
Exactly. And over weeks and months, that single sentence habit builds real comfort with speaking, which eventually transfers into real conversations.
Transfers into, meaning it carries over and applies to a different situation. Such a useful concept for skill building in general.
Let's talk about how to actually set these small goals properly, because I think there's a bit of an art to it.
Definitely. My first tip is make it embarrassingly small. If your goal doesn't feel almost too easy, it's probably still too big.
Embarrassingly small. I love that phrase. It really pushes people to go smaller than feels natural at first.
Second tip, attach it to something you already do, like reading one page right after you brush your teeth, since that's already automatic.
That's called habit stacking, right? We've mentioned that concept before too.
Exactly. Habit stacking. Linking a new tiny habit to an existing one makes it so much easier to remember and stick to.
Third tip, in my opinion, track it somehow. Even just a simple check mark on a calendar. Seeing progress visually is incredibly motivating.
Visual progress is so powerful. There's something satisfying about literally seeing a streak of check marks building up.
A streak, a series of consecutive days where you've successfully done something. People get surprisingly attached to not breaking a streak.
They really do. I think that's part of why apps and challenges with streaks are so popular and so effective.
Fourth tip, don't judge the size of the goal by how it looks to other people. It only has to make sense for you.
That's such an important point. Someone else's goal might be running 10 kilometers, while yours is just putting on your shoes and walking outside.
And that's completely fine, because the comparison doesn't matter. What matters is whether you actually follow through, consistently.
Follow through, meaning to actually complete or stick with what you said you do. That word really captures the whole conversation today.
Let's talk about what happens when you miss a day, because realistically, that's going to happen sometimes.
Oh, this is so important to address. A lot of people quit completely after missing just one single day.
Why do you think that happens? Why does one missed day sometimes turn into giving up entirely?
I think it's an all or nothing mindset. People believe if they're not perfect, the whole effort is somehow ruined or pointless.
All or nothing mindset. Believing something has to be perfect or it's worthless. Such a damaging way of thinking, honestly.
It really is. My advice is always never miss twice. Missing one day is normal and human. Missing 2 days in a row starts a new, harder pattern.
Never miss twice. I love that rule. It's simple, practical, and realistic, instead of demanding impossible perfection.
Exactly. Progress isn't a perfectly straight line. It's more like a slightly messy upward trend with some natural dips along the way.
An upward trend with dips. That's such an accurate way to describe real growth in anything, including language learning.
And honestly, that imperfection is completely fine. What matters most is returning to the habit, not maintaining flawless perfection.
Flawless, meaning completely perfect without any mistakes at all. Nobody actually needs that to make real progress.
Let's talk a bit about mindset now. How should someone think about their small goal, especially in the beginning when results aren't visible yet?
I think patience is everything here. You have to trust the process even when you can't see obvious results yet.
Trust the process, believing that consistent effort will eventually pay off, even without immediate proof. Such an important mindset shift.
It's a bit like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every single day to check if it's growing. You just keep watering it.
I love that metaphor. Digging it up constantly would actually damage the growth, even though it feels productive in the moment.
Exactly. Sometimes checking your progress too often, too anxiously, actually gets in the way of the progress itself.
That's such a powerful insight. Let's talk about long-term identity now, because I think that's where the real transformation happens.
Go on. What do you mean by long-term identity in this context?
I mean that small goals, repeated long enough, don't just create results. They actually change how you see yourself.
Can you explain that a bit more? How does a tiny daily habit change your identity?
Sure. If you read one page every day for a year, you don't just finish some books. You start to genuinely think of yourself as a reader.
Oh, that's such a powerful shift from I'm trying to read more to I am someone who reads.
Exactly that shift. And the same applies to English. From I'm trying to learn English to I am someone who speaks English.
That identity shift is honestly more motivating than any single big achievement could ever be.
Because identity sticks with you. It's not just about results anymore. It becomes part of who you genuinely are.
All right, let's move to a wrapping up. Let's do a quick recap of everything we've talked about today.
Sure. First, big goals often fail because the first step feels overwhelming, not because the goal itself is wrong.
Second, start embarrassingly small. So small that failing almost feels impossible, especially in the beginning.
Third, remember the compound effect. Tiny, consistent actions add up to massive results over time, even when progress feels invisible day to day.
Fourth, attach new habits to existing routines using habit stacking to make consistency so much easier.
Fifth, track your progress visually, like with a calendar streak, since seeing growth is incredibly motivating.
Sixth, remember the rule, never miss twice. One missed day is human, 2 in a row starts a harder pattern.
And seventh, trust that small, repeated actions eventually shape your identity, not just your results.
Such a powerful recap. And honestly, this entire episode itself is a perfect example of a small goal, listening for a few minutes today.
Exactly. You're already proving the concept just by being here, listening and learning something new in English.
So to everyone listening, you don't need a massive plan to change your life. You just need one small, consistent action.
Start ridiculously small, stay consistent, and trust that the impact will show up, even if you can't see it yet today.
Keep practicing English every day, even if it's just 5 minutes. Small goals truly do create big impact over time.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to start small. Small is not weak. Small is actually how lasting change really happens.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Just by listening, you're already taking one small, powerful step forward.
See you in the next podcast. Until then, pick one tiny goal and go show up for it today.
Bye for now, everyone. Small steps, big impact. We'll see you next time.